Hello, my friends. So excited to be here with you. I'm Rachel Archelaus, founder of the Intuitive Art Academy. You can get a free class at intuitiveart.com. And we have Carrie Roldan here, our business BFF and Dreamcast leader extraordinaire. She is the co-leader of the Multidimensional Abundance Coaching Group, which she's absolutely breathtakingly amazing in.
Well, thanks. And good to be here with you. And I am super, and hello, those of you who are here. I see you commenting already. I am excited for today's conversation. And most times I get here and I don't know what we're talking about, but today I saw a preview and yeah, amen to this topic. I'm super excited to talk about it.
Yes. Well, I don't usually look back. I am just a forward moving person. I've always been excited about the future, and over the years I've developed more presence to just be here now, and so I really enjoy my life. I enjoy my moments. And so having looked back so much over the past month, I realized I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea if I could do it. I didn't get great financial results my first year. I had people around me who were expecting great things from me, which was great, but also made me feel very pressured. Like from the beginning, my boyfriend was saying, I'm his investment, I'm his retirement plan. Like, that's a lot of pressure for someone just starting out doing something woo woo at a time where that was still, what I was doing was still really different. I started just doing psychic development. Like, I didn't do business, I didn't even do intuitive art yet. So I remember what it was like to doubt yourself, to not be sure if it's worth the time, to feel like maybe I should just go get a job instead and quit all of this. I don't know what I'm doing. So, we're just going to talk today about the fact that it is worth it. You are worth the journey. I'm so grateful that I stayed the course because I did end up creating exactly what I wanted to create, and I have freedom. I'm actually going on vacation after this because I just felt like I needed it. There's no real reason, like I just needed a little break, and luckily I could take it. So, where you are going is worth it.
You got quiet. Does that mean it's my turn to talk?
Moment of silence for the journey. Yeah, go for it.
Oh my gosh, yes. And what you said in the beginning about, gosh, the pressure of um, your own expectations, the feeling of knowing that there is greatness inside of you. And then, like, for me, it was the pressure of figuring out all of that greatness at once, right? It was like living into my potential in a week. I experienced that as well. Somebody I work with just recently passed the $1 million revenue mark in her business. And she made a post celebrating that. And then in her post, she said, "Can you find the secret? Can you find the secret in this post?" And it was a picture of her, and it showed, she was like smiling in front of the computer, and it showed her Stripe account. And it showed, 1 point, however many millions of dollars were in her account. But the point of the post was about the line, like the income line. It was like so low and so small and so flat for so long before it started to go up, and then really like went up, and the whole point of her post was like, yeah, that was the journey. That was me learning, growing, investing in me, figuring out how I wanted to do things, like listening to like all of that. She had this, and I'm not saying it has to be like that for you, but for her, her journey was low and slow, right? Until it wasn't. Until, she has achieved that dream that so many of us have, right? To like hit the $1 million mark. And of course, the point of all of it is like, by the time you get there, it feels completely normal.
Yes, I know. I know. That's where I'm at right now. Like, for the past week, I have felt like I'm on a new platform, And I've even been recording videos for my group and not posting them because I'm like, can I talk about this? Like, is it okay for me to like talk about how rich I feel? Like, is that okay? Um, and of course it's okay
Yeah, I was like,
because
Rachel, that's fine. Post them.
I know, I know, but it's different. It feels so natural to have this success, and that's incredibly awesome. Like, it's blowing my mind away that it feels so natural, and that's really so. If I had a secret, just like who you're talking about, it would be like, at first I thought like you, I had to aim really big. Like, I know I could make $1 million. I know I have incredible things to share. I know I'm really talented at certain things. And I always had these lofty goals. And the people around me, at first, not this guy, but who I was with before, would be like, well, what are you going to do about that? Or how's that going to happen, in like a snarky kind of way. And I thought, well, I don't know, but it will. And I just took one step after another. And those haven't happened. I will be completely honest with you. The really huge, out of the box, crazy goals that I know I still am capable of achieving have not happened yet. I don't live in a multi-million dollar home. I don't have like millions of dollars in my bank account. But what happens over time as you continue on the journey is you realize you don't need all of that to have exactly what you want. You can have time freedom and money freedom for a lot less than that. And you can absolutely love the life that you're living on the journey. Like, there is no destination that's going to change your life. If you can settle into the journey and get really cozy, that is the secret to success, because then you'll keep going without resistance and the bigger numbers will just keep coming in.
Yes, yes, magically, yes. Yes. Like, as you were talking, I thought you were going to stop at like, be satisfied where you are. And I was like, well, yeah. And that is then where the good stuff comes from. And you know what's funny is I feel like we talk about this a lot, but like I remember hearing this and understanding it in my brain, but not being able to like understand it in my being. And also judging myself for not being able, like knowing, okay, I just have to believe harder. I just have to have more faith. Um, yeah, I worked against myself in that way because I recognized, okay, all I need is to feel good, but I can't feel good until my life is better. But my life won't get better. My life won't get better until I feel good. Like I was in that cycle for a while, right? And the journey was worth it. Like being in that cycle and caring enough to find a way out was worth it. So worth it. You know, you talked about, I think about that too sometimes when we're on these calls. Like, is it okay to talk about how wealthy we feel? Is that really okay? But it is. And it's necessary. One, it helps us, right? The more we feel wealthy, the wealthier we get, right? So why not milk that? But two, I just think it's so important for all of you watching um, to know, like this is our journey too, right? And we are in a place on our journey where we're feeling wealthier and wealthier and wealthier and more worthy and deserving and relaxed about receiving and like all of the things we talk about. And now we're here. And now we're going, right? Like Rachel's saying, like, I feel like I'm in a totally next level. Same. I think we've talked about this on this platform, but like the most recent aligned up level, it was a humdinger. Like it has, it has up leveled us in a way that we were expecting, but are still surprised. So I'm rambling, but I just want to say, like, man, I'm so glad I went on this journey. It has led me here to this crazy, incredible life where, just like that friend of mine, like I looked at my numbers this morning and was like, holy hell. Like, I remember when this was a dream. I remember when it seemed so far away. I remember when it seemed like, how could I possibly do that? Like, and now, I mean, it has happened with so much more ease than I ever expected, in such a more aligned and relaxed way than I was planning. And now that I'm comfortable with the numbers I see, I know, right? I can be comfortable with them growing. There's not that giant chasm between me and $1 million anymore, right? It is just like relaxed and on the journey. So that's the point of us sharing our journeys with you and telling you how wealthy we feel, because we remember not feeling wealthy.
And I remember being really inspired by my teachers who were making certain numbers of money, right? Like whether it was six figures or $1 million or tens of millions. Like I just remember thinking like, well, if you can do it, then I can do it, because I was lucky enough to have some faith in myself. And I think my biggest, what helped me get here is my connection with my higher self. And at the time, I was still very much invested in talking to my spirit guides and my angels, because there were so many mistakes that I made that I really got hung up on. Like I remember this one time, I started very slow with my email list. Like I had less than 100 people for years. I had a couple hundred for years. Um, there really is that hockey stick curve that happens. And then all of a sudden you have thousands. You're like, how did that happen? But I remember one time I emailed out the wrong thing. It was supposed to be maybe an internal email or something, or I didn't change something, something really like low key. We see it all the time. Last week to you guys, I sent out I forgot to change the subject line. Like maybe you don't even care or notice, right? But I was like in full panic attack mode on the ground, like, oh my God, this is so awful. People are going to think I don't know what I'm doing. I can't take it back. Like, should I email them all and tell them like this was a mistake, or should I just keep it? Like, what should I do? And I remember my angels like just like soothing me and being like, it's good. Make your mistakes now while your business is small. You're going to grow from this. This is okay. And I will never forget that. Like when you're just starting out is the time to make mistakes. You want to make mistakes, and you don't want to have like so many customers and then realize like, oh my God, you did something completely wrong. And then hundreds of people are gonna, you're gonna have to change things manually. Like it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not know what you're doing. And I remember as well, like hearing about people making bigger numbers and feeling like, I have no clue how that could happen for me. How is that mathematically possible? Like, I just couldn't fathom that, like, for a very long time. And as my numbers grew, right, then it was the next milestone that I couldn't understand how that could happen. And something happens when you just stick with something, momentum, and you start to relax and things start to pick up more speed because you're not trying to manhandle everything. And that's really where I saw a big jump, like in my email list, in my viewers, in my revenue, and in my profits, even because at first I was spending all of my money. Like I just thought I have to over deliver, I have to give everybody gifts, I have to send everything out, and I wasn't charging enough. And there's just so many things you're going to learn along the way, and let all of it be okay. Like I remember having a lot of conversations with my partner, and them like judging my profit margin. And I would just like release something, and then 10 minutes later they'd be like, oh, how much money did you make? And I had to develop a really thick skin at first because it triggered me so badly. I felt like worthless, and like I don't, like I didn't know how to respond other than tears, which I did for many years. I just couldn't handle that amount of scrutiny, which wasn't even a lot of scrutiny. It was really just care. That was the only way they knew how to communicate with me about business, because they'd never had one. But you just give yourself a lot of leeway and a lot of self-care and a lot of love, because you will grow through every single triggering moment that happens, and that makes you a stronger person so that you can handle success. So it's all worth it.
Oh no, it's happening. Hold on. I clicked the wrong button on my screen. There we go. I was opening a video instead of unmuting, and I was afraid that video was going to start playing, and I don't know what it was about. So luckily, I think it was a client conversation. Crisis averted. My husband has asked me, how much money did you make, about everything that I've done since the very first thing I ever did. And it has come, it doesn't anymore. Now it comes with excitement. But for a long time, it came with judgment and anger. It came because I was spending time, he was stressed, he was working hard. If I was doing whatever I was doing, like initially I started out, I was doing network marketing. Like I've done all sorts of different things to like try and find my way, right? Being on the journey. And I would spend time away from home, or I would require, like there would be some sort of scheduling conflict. And so he would have to be responsible for the kids. And he would like kind of angrily say, well, how much money did you make? So you spent all that time away for only whatever. Like there was a shit ton. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I'm supposed to be cussing. There was a huge pile of judgment attached to that question. Now, in retrospect, right? Like Rachel and I, we talk about this, like it's all me, like, right? I'm creating that. I am with my own doubts and fears and feelings of not enoughness. Like, of course I'm creating him showing up that way in my reality. And it took, I think I've talked about this before. Like it took a minute. It took more than a minute. It took a while for me to get to the place, because every single thing that I would do, I would pin my hopes on like, this will be my big break. This will be the thing that makes me like a ton of money. And it wasn't until I just let go and realized I'm doing this because I'm doing this, that things shifted. And both things happened. Like he backed off when I sort of claimed my own energy and I don't remember having a conversation with him where I was like, it doesn't really matter how much money I make, I'm doing this. Like I just sort of claimed that, and things shifted in him. And then I started to make a lot more money, and it was way more fun when, he still asks, like anytime I have anything that inconveniences him, he's like, well, how much money are you going to make from this or what? Right. But, the asking now, actually the last time it had a little tinge of that same old energy. But then the amount of money I made was so freaking impressive that I know he's never going to ask again. Like, and that thing that I said in the middle of the story about claiming my own energy and recognizing I'm doing this because I'm doing this, that was the tipping point.
I mean, I think that's everything. Like when we're talking about you are worth the journey, it's really that you are worth the journey. And if it would have been really easy for me to give up, because I had skills I could use at a job. I had worked up until I didn't, and I made enough money for myself. But I really just decided, like, I really want to see if I can do this, if this can be full time for me. And I just didn't give up. Like, I was the only one making me show up every day. I was the only one deciding what to do, who to learn from, what offering to make, how to set up my website. Like, I didn't have a boss anymore, right? And luckily, I've always been very self motivated, like self inspired to just keep going. But I think a lot of people, they dabble, they start, they try a few things and then they decide, oh, this isn't working, or I don't know how to do this, or I can't. And then maybe they have a crisis point of like, if they can't find support around them, like their spouse, their children, or their best friends to say, no, 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 keep going, then maybe it's really easy to quit. And then you'll never know. Or a lot of people like have that as a pattern. Like they're in it for a little while and then they're out. And if you don't give yourself time to develop the routine of like, I'm a business owner, this is what I do, I'm going to show up and figure this out. Like Marie Forleo's book, I have not read it, but it's titled Everything is Figure Outable. Like she loves that saying because that's really what's required when you're in business for yourself. Like you've got to figure it out. There's no one else but you. And you can look for resources. Like I loved every moment of YouTube research I did to figure out my website and my email list and marketing ideas. And like, what do I do now? Like this person said this, or I have this really annoying person emailing me, or like whatever it is, right? There's YouTube, there's Fiverr, there's like Upwork. There are so many places that you can receive help from that are free or paid. There are Facebook groups you can join for free that have camaraderie. There are paid groups, there's paid education. I did every single one of those things over and over and over again. And I think if you just do like Carrie did, like you just decide, this is what I'm doing. So back off, world, if you feel like you're getting pressure from anyone or even yourself. Like, I'm doing this, I'm giving this a go, and I'm just going to keep showing up. That is the kind of energy that it really takes to get you off the ground.
Amen, sister. I feel like we need to acknowledge the dots for a minute because Rachel and I, right before this call, were celebrating that it's fall. And in the fall, Rachel, where she sits in her office, she gets dots, light dots that show up and then move across her as the hour passes. So, yeah, welcome to the journey, dots. And I see a whole bunch of you in the comments, like chatting it up and saying hello. And I see Kathleen saying, that is amazing. And I totally need to come from that place. And that place being like, well, I'm doing it because I'm doing it. And that is part of the journey, is getting to that place, right? Because we start doing whatever we're doing because we have a desire, because it lights us up, because we like feel good. And we have this like, what if, wouldn't that be amazing? And then we start down the journey and we're like, how do I do it? Right? And oftentimes we lose sight of that feeling that we had at the beginning, that what if, that wouldn't it be amazing? And we're like, how do I monetize it? Am I worthy? Am I enough? How come Rachel makes it look so easy and I'm still struggling, right? Like we go through all of that. And I do think that part of the journey is recognizing, if I never made money at this, right, would I still do it? Or even better, if I stopped trying to do this the way that everyone tells me is going to help me make money, and I just did what I wanted, what would I do? And that is what happened for me. Like I stopped trying. We just did a video on this. Stop trying to make money. That's what I did. I stopped trying to make money. Now, I was in a place where I was blessed to be in a place where if I didn't make any money, I could still eat. But I stopped trying to make money. And then money was like, thank God. We've been trying to get in all these other ways and she's been blocking them. And I had been, at the same time, I'd been asking for more ease, right? So part of my journey was giving up. It was so worth it. It was so worth it. Did I give up on who I'm becoming, on how I want to show up in the world? No, I gave up on trying to make money in the way that, like, that was part of my journey. And from the conversations that I have, it's part of a lot of people's journey, right? Part of the journey is finally putting down your weapons. Finally stop resisting in all the places you've been resisting and relax and allow what you're really asking for to come through. I was really asking for ease and working super hard. Like that didn't make any sense. So if that is part of your journey, Kathleen, right, to get to the place like I'm doing it because I'm doing it, and it can be easy because I know you. You are the queen of making things easy. So rock on, girl.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there's no shame to support yourself on the journey as well. Like, pick up a part-time job or work full-time and then do your business on the weekends. Like, however you need to do it to feel safe is absolutely worth it as well. Like, yes, it might take you a little bit longer to get, whatever you feel you need to get done. But if you can do it in a more relaxed state, knowing that you can pay your bills, you are much more likely to succeed. Because if you put all of the pressure on you starting a new business to pay your bills and to like not lose your house, like that's a lot of pressure, and everything is about energy. So if you're closed off and fearful, you're going to create more fear, you're going to create more lack. So find a way to be open. Don't work on your business unless you're feeling good, unless you're feeling at least open, at least neutral. Like in the beginning, I didn't always feel totally happy and inspired. Sometimes I was a little like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but it was an adventure. And sometimes adventures are challenging, and that can still feel really good. Like I'm going to go climb a mountain tomorrow, and it's going to be a challenge, but I'm really looking forward to it. So it's like feel into the truth of who you are. That's the reason you're doing it, right? You're embarking on possibly a more challenging path, but it's because it's the only option for you to feel like you're living your truth. That's my case. And I've said this a million times, but I'm going into the screenwriting world and I'm pitching TV shows and movies and stuff. And the question for me from managers and stuff is like, are you willing to work in a writer's room? And I don't know, I might be, because it's just like a 20-week contract, but sometimes they make you sign a 3-year contract. And that's like, it's something I really love and enjoy, and I'll probably have fun with it, but I kind of know myself, and like, it's going to get really old to have a boss and to be told when to wake up and when to show up, and then I can't go home yet. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to go there, but I know when I'm faced with the actual decision, I will be very clear on what to do. So your truth can change. The way you do your business can change. You're not locking yourself into anything, which is another big fear people have. Like, I can't offer this because then I have to be known for this forever and ever. And I need the perfect tagline and title. And like, relax. You can update yourself. You can change. You can pivot. You can do new things. You can drop old things. Like, just get an offer out there. Get used to taking money, and you're going to get into the swing of things. I like saying moo to my students. Make offers often. Moo, 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 moo.
I've never heard you say that. I have another friend who just says she who makes the most offers wins, right? This idea of like, if you don't ask. And I think that this is maybe a slightly different topic, but when we're new to being in business, like the idea of putting yourself out there, right? It means a couple of different things. For you, it just means like feeling scared and vulnerable. And when people say, what do you do? Like stumbling over what it is, right? Like, you're like, oh, I'm putting myself out there. But really it means asking, like whatever that looks like for you. So you want to buy one of these? Like, so are you a yes? Like, right? Like that's the stuff. And yeah, it takes a minute. It's part of the journey.
Yeah, and let's go here for a sec, because the journey of how you feel about sales, like every single basically person that I encounter who's starting a business, and I encounter a lot of them because that's what I help people with, are like, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to. And I was there. I was there. Like, I even just the thought of like taking money from people for what I do, like, sent me into a full blown flu when I started my business. The first time I ever got booked for a reading from this center was $125. I was only going to get, I don't know, $70 of that. But still, I was like, they're paying how much to talk to me? And I was still back in my like very baby Rachel phase. Like, you wouldn't probably recognize me. I was the same person, right? Same talents and gifts, but like not confident, not in the same mindset. And so I literally got the flu. I had to pick my leg up to get out of the shower because I was so afraid of receiving this money for talking to someone. I didn't think I was worth it. I was like so panicked. And then for the first few years of my business, I didn't have any services on my services page. Does that sound familiar to anybody? And when I got into some more formal education on business, I was taught how to do a discovery call, right? Like your first meeting with a potential client. And there's a format and you're supposed to walk through it. And I remember like, I'm doing this. I'm terrified. I'm going to hate it. It's going to be awful. But when I actually talked to people on the phone and I did follow the format, I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Like, I had this awakening of like, I love hearing about people's dreams. I love seeing how I could help them. This is great. And people used to tell me, like, wow, you're really good at this. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like, this is absolutely incredible. I never, ever, ever would have let myself go there if I wasn't committed to my journey because I didn't want to do it. I really didn't want to do it. But there was something inside of me that said, like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to see if I like it or not. I'm going to like prove this to myself and, but I didn't book anybody from that initial round. Like I've talked about this before. I was trying to get people into this high-end coaching that my teacher said, you got to start here. So I did what she said. Nobody wanted it. And then I realized I really wanted to do a group program. Goop wasn't even around then. And I called everybody back and 90% of the people joined. So again, learning on the job, taking what I do like, leaving what I don't, asking myself, how would I really like to do this? Like Carrie said, and everything started to really work out. So the journey can be a little wobbly at first as you put yourself in different situations, but it's totally worth it.
You also made an offer often, right? You made these people an offer and they said no. And then you called back with another one, right? Like you made another offer. And, this is what I see. I work with a lot of people who are wanting to build a personal brand. And they do a good job of putting themselves out there, kind of. It's so interesting. I don't know if this is it's on topic a little bit because they do a great job of like showing up and posting things on social media and like they do a lot of the things. But the one thing they're missing is like people get an idea of their like overall who they are and what they're about. But people have no idea what they do or what they sell because they're afraid to make an offer, because they're afraid to like, so there's this like feeling, right? When this is a little marketing 101, right? But your brand is how people feel about you when they experience anything that you put out there, right? So like they're doing a good job of that, except for that they're not actually like asking people to look at what they sell or to like work with them or do anything. They're doing all the things except for that, making an offer. So yeah, that's part of the journey. And getting comfortable making an offer. This comes from like all the way back to Rachel and I in the beginning saying like, we feel so wealthy, right? Now we can make an offer and I mean, really not be attached. well, let's just back up, right? Your offers always work better when you're not attached. But early on, it's a lot harder to be detached. Like when you can make offers knowing like, I'm going to offer it. And if it's a fit, great. If it's not a fit, no biggie, because I live in an abundant universe and I'm super wealthy and everything's working out for me. And if it's not this, it's something even better, right? When you can live from that place, it becomes a lot easier to make offers.
Yeah. What I realized from doing those discovery calls was like, first of all, I'm not convincing anyone of anything ever. I know what my value is, and if it's going to be helpful to someone else, they'll see that because I present my value. And I also realize that it's just up to like higher self connection. I'm not the one making the decision. I'm not the one even guiding them into a decision. All I can do is say, yes, I believe I can help you, or no, I don't think I can help you. And then it's up to them to either click or not, right? Like when I really did get detached from that, it just became, my life became easier. I wasn't worried about whether people would join or not. I knew that all things are working out. The right people will find me. And frankly, I could be better at telling people what I do. Like, I don't think I ever mention it on my personal socials. I just do it on my business pages and stuff. But but everything's still working out. So like once you have momentum going, you can decide where you want to talk about certain things and where you don't, and just do whatever works better for you. And there's always going to be things to learn. Like, I'm still growing. I'm still not done with the journey. I'm still on the journey. I'm still loving the journey even more. And, one of the things that helped me change my mindset about sales was I realized at some point a couple of years ago, like, sometimes I get an email every single day from a store. Every single day, a single store online will send me their, like Joanne Fabrics right now. I'm on there. I'm constantly unsubscribing because I get an email every day, sometimes twice a day, you know? But, and sometimes like right now, I seem a little heated about it, but if it's like once a day, if it's once every few days, I don't take it personally. If I don't want it, I just delete it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If you are a business, people expect you to make offers. They want to know what you're talking about. The funniest part, when I was still doing my psychic development coaching in the beginning, before I had any business training, I remember people calling me and being like, yeah, let's get something on the books. Like, I want to start right away. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, what are you in a hurry for? I was like totally like sales oblivious. There were people begging me for what I had and to get like a first session set up. And I was like, yeah, I guess, sure. Okay. Like, oh, I guess I'll send you a PayPal invoice. You know what I mean? Like, any way you get there is fine. And you'll get more sophisticated as you grow. You don't have to have the shiniest, most flawless system right out of the gate. Don't let that stop you from making offers. If you have something to offer, something to sell, service, product, whatever, and a way to take money, which nowadays is Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, check, money, whatever it is, Square. If you have something to sell and you have a way to take money, you can have a business. Everything else is optional and can happen as you can afford it over time.
Yes, 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 yes. I think that was super important. Like people are always like, well, when do you set up your LLC? And like, if you have something to offer and you have a way to take money, which all of us do, then you're good to go, right? You'll figure everything else out as you go.
I mean, I think I'll just say maybe the most important thing in the beginning is, because you don't need a business structure to take money, but you do need to pay taxes.
Yes.
So keep an accounting of what you're taking in so that you can pay taxes on that, and just set aside like roughly 30-ish% of what you take in for taxes. So yeah. But yeah, wait on your LLC. Don't open an LLC until you have something to lose. Or if you have like a lot of familial wealth, like, then go for it earlier. But let an accountant do it for you if you don't want to deal with it.
I just had that on a coaching call recently. I was on a group coaching call and someone asked me about that, and it felt so good to say, I am not a tax professional, so so go ahead and ask one. I wanted to give a shout out to Intuitive Art. So I don't know, one of the things that really helped me make a shift in so many things. Like one thing was like someone wanting to hire me. Actually, other things have been uh, client conversations or those discovery calls, like being a certified intuitive artist, having that in my back pocket, using that technique on those kinds of calls has been just a breath of fresh air. Like being able to relax and be like, Rachel, you were saying, once you recognize it's a higher self conversation, and having that tool to be able to tell the person on the other end, like, all right, here's what's happening right now. My higher self is having a conversation with your higher self. Like, oh my goodness, that was a game changer for me. That using that tool of intuitive art helped me land my very first sale over $1,000. It helped me land my very first contract for over $2,000 a month. It helped me just having that in my back pocket and detaching. I hadn't made the connection until you started talking about it. That's not true. I've made the connection before, but it really became solid as you started talking about it. Oh, that was the thing for me. Being a certified intuitive artist, telling people, and I got to tell you, I felt awkward about it at first because I didn't live in this world as much as I do now. And I was like, so I'm certified in this thing. It was an awkward conversation, but that's the power of it, right? Is it totally, it's amazing and validating and disarming and all the things. But that was the thing, that it was so clear on the paper what the answers were for moving forward. It was fantastic. So I just wanted to share that. That was a big confidence thing for me. Part of my journey was becoming a certified intuitive artist. And I use it all the time now. But if all I ever got from it was during strategy sessions, I have this tool, worth it.
Yeah. And I've had people do intuitive art who were thinking about working with me. They would do a drawing. So, I mean, huge shout out to intuitive art. Absolutely. And that whole journey, I started doing that when I was 11, and I just played around with it for the next 10 years. And then I was like, I wonder if other people can do this. And then it just grew from there. So it wasn't delivered to me as a certification with a full-blown online business attached. I had to get ready for that. I had to prepare. I had to teach hundreds, if not thousands, of intuitive art classes in order to realize that this was worthy of being something. And even at that, I only created the certification because my students were begging me for it, begging me. And I started with a beta, and I gave it away for free as a bonus to my soul-centered business bootcamp. So yeah, please don't ever judge someone in their 10 years into their business because, oh, they make it look so easy. Yeah, it is easy. It is very easy right now. It is so easy. It has felt easy for a very long time. But I had to walk through every little mindset shift and mistake that everyone else does. And the only difference between me and someone who stopped is I just kept going. I just kept going. And I overcame all those little thoughts in my mind, I'm not good at money, and I'm not good at business, and I'm not good at marketing, and I'm not good at sales, and how dare I take money for this because it's a spiritual gift, and no, there's not enough people who are going to want this, and this is such a specialized thing and nobody cares. Every little thought has gone through my mind too, and I've just decided over time I'm going to readjust. The last one that I did was I'm not good at money. I felt that way for a really long time, and it showed in my business. I made a lot of money, but I would always spend it. I talked about this a lot with my friends, especially. But then a couple years ago, I started to challenge that thought, and I'd be like, I make good decisions with money. It's safe for me to have a lot of money. It's safe for me to have a savings account. It's safe. Like, I do know how to handle this. I am good at money. And so, any little thought that you're having a hard time surpassing with just awareness, feel free to calibrate it when you're feeling good. It really makes a huge difference.
Do you know who Dina Castor is?
No.
So she is a famous American distance runner, and she's a little older than me, so she's maybe almost 50. She's late 40s, but she is one of the people responsible for like the renaissance of American distance running. So those of you who don't pay attention to distance running, like when I was in high school, the Americans were a joke. Like we were not on the world scene. We hadn't been on the world scene since like the 60s. And like we couldn't compete on the world stage. There was all this talk like the Africans are genetically superior and like all of this stuff. And Dina Castor was part of the group of people who believed that Americans could compete on the world stage again. And how they wound up doing that is this whole live high, train low philosophy. So like basically moving to altitude, which is like so common now, like all of the distance training camps are at altitude. But back then it was like, and training as a team. So before, the Americans kind of trained individually with their coaches because we didn't have a system set up in place to like support distance runners training together post-collegiately. Why am I talking about this? It is because I go off on tangents, but also it is because I remember her saying, you know, when they said, well, how did you become great? Right? Like, how did you, or what did it take? Like to talking about her journey to, I'm terrible with details. So I don't know if she was a bronze medalist in the marathon in the Olympics. I don't know if she was an American record holder or what, but she is, you know, an American icon for women distance runners. And I remember because I competed against her in high school and I had a friend who was her teammate in college. And I say I competed against her loosely because we were in the same races, but we were not in the same race. And what she said was, you know, it doesn't really change that much. There's just less people around you. She was like, you know, when you're in high school, everybody runs, right? Like there's hundreds of people on your team and, or at least in your, you know, like lots of kids run high school cross country. And then you get to college and it's a more elite field and it's like, it's a different crowd and there's just less. And then you get post collegiate and there's even less and it's more of a commitment. And she kind of said, the only reason I'm successful, and so and so and so and so, right? The other people who I ran with in college, the only reason I'm still like, I'm on the Olympic podium and they're not, doesn't have anything to do with talent. It doesn't, their lives got in the way, right? Like I just kept going. That's what she says. Like, I just kept going. Like I'm no better, no more talented. No, I just kept going. And it did for her. It got lonelier on the journey for sure. Like her journey is kind of full of people falling by the wayside, but she's like, I just kept going. And then because she kept going and because like she achieved amazingness, guess what? Now she has hordes of people with her on the journey again. But I'm saying that to you because that's the key. Just keep going. If you know it's your journey, then go. That's it.
Yeah. And if you hit a plateau, right? You've got yourself established a little bit, you're feeling a little more comfortable, you have a little more space in your day and no one's biting, ask yourself like, am I making it easy for people to find me? Am I communicating what I do in a way that others can understand and see the value in it? Like you will continue to evolve and make better what you do. And that's because you already did the groundwork of getting to that point where you could focus, where you could answer the question, what do you do? And not in a bullet point like, I'm this, but really, like, how are people changed because of what you do with them? Is it transformational work? Is it, you create a book for them? Is it that you have a book for them to buy? Like, I know so many. Is it that you're making incredible art for them? Like, I know what so many of you who are watching do. And if there is a need for more money or just a desire, like, why isn't my business booming? Take a look at what you've got. What is your customer facing platform look like? Is there an easy way for them to find out more? Is there an easy way for them to purchase, buy, get more information, know what they're getting? Like, take a look at all of it and take a look around at what other people are doing, not to compare, but just to see, how are other people allowing customers to buy from them? Like, we're often the last ones to take ourselves seriously, right? I am constantly doing this to myself too. I'm in a new writing group. We met last night and it was introduction time, and I always clam up at that cuz, like, what do I even say? I do like 15 freaking things. So, last night I decided to say I have an internet company and I'm a writer, right? So, okay, very vague, but true. Somebody Googled me after class and emailed me today and said, "Oh, I was on your website and I'm going through a spiritual journey." And first of all, I was like, "Oh my God, which website did you go to?" Because rachelarchelaus.com is totally, in my mind, out of date. I haven't updated it in like 2 years. And I panicked, right? Like, what does that say about me? I haven't touched my website in a long time. But you know what? It's quite all right, because the page that is up to date is my coaching page. So she can know exactly what I do and how I've helped people. And that is telling me that everything's okay, because that would be the total opposite 10 years ago. I didn't even have a services listed on my services page. It was just all blog posts. Now I have 2-year-old blog posts and my coaching is up to date. So, like, you're going to find what works for you over time. If you value making a living and being you in the world and, your worthiness, then you're going to figure out how to make it easier for people to purchase what you do. And it's a worthwhile thing to consider. Like, I don't have to be perfect in this journey, but I do need to care about myself. And I know that if there are ways to make it easier for people to interact with me, then I can do that. I can figure that out.
I unmuted, but I don't really have anything to say. I just saw that you were at the end of, you had punctuated your sentence. So I think I just want to leave everybody. Well, we're almost at leaving time, but I just want to plant this inside of you. And I feel like this is kind of the culmination of everything we've been talking about the past few weeks, is you are worth the journey and you are worthy of the journey. And I don't know if you guys can feel the distinction or not, but wherever you are, be there, right? Wherever you are, man, you are so worthy of what you're asking for. You are so worthy of whatever it is you want. And the journey is meant to be, it's meant to be good. It's meant to be soul enriching. It's meant to be full of baby steps and helpfulness. And like Rachel talked about in the beginning, like making your mistakes when nobody's watching, right? Or when very few people are watching. Like the journey is here to support you. I think that is, and you're so worthy of that. You're so worthy of the support. Yeah, I'm just like feeling into you guys. And I wanted to say this when you were talking about there's artists watching. The thing Okay. There's someone specific I'm thinking about, and I don't even know if she does this anymore, but I know an artist who paints soul portraits. And this is like, I'm shifting from You Are Worthy to a little bit of marketing advice, and maybe I'll find a way to tie them together. And her work is incredible, and it's beautiful, and it's amazing. And if she was at a party or wherever, she was in a situation and someone said, "What do you do?" Old her probably would have said like, "Oh, I'm an artist. Whatever." But if she would have said, "I paint soul portraits," so that um, I'm going to use myself as an example, so that entrepreneurs like you can hang them up in their office and be reminded every day of their gifts and their purpose in the world, and why they're doing what they're doing. If she would have said that, right, I would have been like, sign me up. I need one of those, and I need to pay a lot for it. And so I just wanted to share that with you, that we get so caught up in like, what about me and what am I doing? And part of the journey is recognizing it's not about you, right? It's about that question, right? Rachel and I do live streams. Why do we do that? So that we can help entrepreneurs or seekers or, X, Y, and Z, so that we can help them relax, let their higher self take the lead, so that they can be happier, more abundant, and more fulfilled, right? It's understanding the so that's. Man, that makes your journey easier. Yeah.
It does. I just did this with a client yesterday. Like, she was weary of marketing and sales, and it's just, you pick what you want to do, what you want to create, how you want to do it, what you want to fill your life with, what you want to talk about. And then you recognize how that is valuable for someone else. What is their incentive to interact with you? That's all you're doing, is what are they getting out of that thing that you love and want to do in the world, right? It's so that you can, so that you are, so that blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But you start with you, and then you end with them, because it's the customer facing part of it is about them recognizing if you are a fit for them.
And I was going to say, the so that so often comes from them anyways, right? Like people who tell you, like this artist, right? Maybe I'm making up this part of the story, but maybe she had 5 or 6 different entrepreneurs be like, "Oh my gosh, that soul portrait is hanging in my office, and I look at it every day and it helps me feel confident." Well, there you go. There's your so that, right? Like that's the stuff. And it's all part of the journey.
Yep. Yes. Oh my God. I'm so glad you brought that up, because you can't know you probably can. There is no rule around any of this stuff, but I didn't know who my customer was until I was having clients. And then I realized the pattern, like everyone who's coming to me for psychic development is in the baby stage of wanting to start a business. Every single one of them wanted to start a business. And I was like, oh, I've been there. I'm in business now doing psychic development stuff and teaching. And I've wanted to start a business before. And so that's where I created the Soul Centered Business Bootcamp. It combined what I'd learned about starting a business and psychic development stuff. And that's how I started making recurring revenue. And it was incredible.
And if you hadn't made offers, you wouldn't have been able to refine your offerings.
Yeah.
We have another friend who she's her offer, it's still evolving, but she's recognizing, like, she thought she wanted to work with a particular kind of person, and she's recognizing, like, I'm attracting a whole bunch of this kind of person, and I really like working with them. And it's not someone she ever would have thought of, but now she can get super clear, right? That's part of her journey, is putting out an offer, starting to bring people to it, and then recognizing, oh, wow, these are my people. I can refine this offer. And the beauty, we're like getting a little higher level marketing now, but the beauty of a really refined offer is you can usually charge a lot more for it. right? Um, think about that soul portrait as an example. Like, I'm sure there are people, and no shade to street fairs or anything, right? But there's people at street fairs painting soul portraits for whatever they're charging. And then there's somebody else who's charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for high level entrepreneurs or, you know, big wigs to hang them in their offices. And the only real difference, right, is their crystal clarity on their person.
Yeah. So we threw a lot at you today. Holy cow. But I think it's because we're just so passionate that you're worth the journey. You're worth it. Any little nugget we can hand you to help you on, you know, keep going, obviously we will. And I mean, I could talk about this nonstop, and I plan to. I'm actually I have a surprise for you guys coming up in a couple weeks, which is going to be great. But for now, we're at time, and Carrie's probably got to go to something. She's a very busy lady.
I've just started coming in my workout clothes now. I don't even try and hide it. So
We love it. It's great. And I'm going to go pick up my cat and then go on vacation.
Woohoo!
So yeah, I hope you guys have an incredible week. Oh, and I'm part of an online expo thing right now with divine feminine energy and creativity. So go check that out in the newsletter. Go sign up. It's free. We had such a good interview, new stuff coming out. So definitely go sign up for that. Okay.
All right. See you later, guys.
Bye. Love you all. Thanks, everybody.